A very good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Today, we're going to be having a very interesting panel discussion, maybe the first of its kind. Maybe a lot of people have been talking about online teaching, and especially how school teachers are looking at opportunities and challenges of teaching either primary, middle school, or a lot of students around India. Today, I'm very happy to welcome a very elite panel of principals and senior academicians and educationists to this interesting panel discussion. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. I have with me Mrs. Shanti Menon. Shanti Menon is the founder director, founder principal of Dean's Academy. She's a university rank holder from Stella Maris College, Chennai. Acquired a degree in education after completing her graduation in English literature. Ms. Menon has further honed the skills through leadership and a management training course with the Teacher Foundation Bangalore, and later in strategic management from the Central Board of Secondary Education. She also lends her experience in designing and delivering learning and training programs to MNTTA, a teacher training institute in Bangalore, as its principal consultant. She's a trained Bharatanatyam and Mohiniyattam dancer and has been practicing since the age of 3. Daughter of the eminent Dr. E. Sridharan, the Metro Man of India, and wife of Mr. Hari Menon, co-founder and CEO of Big Basket, an ex-CEO of India Skills, a pioneering vocational skills development company. Ms. Menon is a very passionate homemaker and a mother of 3 sons. Welcome, Ms. Menon. Thank you for joining me on this fantastic panel discussion.
Thank you for having me here, Pavan. Thank you.
Next on my panelist, I have Mrs. Bhuneshwari, Director Principal of Presidency School, Bangalore South, with over 32 years of exposure in streams of matriculation, senior secondary, and CBSE, and international ICSE colleges. She's held various principal level positions in a lot of schools across Bangalore and in India. In association with Presidency Group of Institutions, she's been there with them since September of 2002. She was also in presidency in 2010 and 2012. And she served as the headmistress and principal at the Money Higher School for 8 years between 1992 and March 2000. Before this, she's had several leadership and strategic management courses that she's been a part of. She's an MA in Econometrics, MEd in English and Education, and MS in Computers and E-commerce, MPhil in HR, and Mathematics as a specialization. Thank you, Ms. Bhuneshwari, for joining in on this panel. I really look forward to having a lot of insights from you. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you.
My third panelist for the day is Ms. Rajeshwari Sridhar, Principal of Global Academy for Learning, with over 22 years of work experience in various posts, right from kindergarten to higher level and secondary level teaching. She's a master's in comparative literature from Jadavpur University in Calcutta and a diploma in Montessori education, along with a course in German language from Goethe Institute, Bangalore, and received a scholarship for further studies in Goethe Institute for Germany. Thank you, Ms. Rajeshwari. Thank you for joining in. Really excited to be talking to you today.
Pleasure being with all of you today.
My fourth panelist comes from an education and a technology background. Mr. Muralidhar, the co-founder, former co-founder and CEO of Meritrack, India's largest assessment company, now a part of Manipal Education Group. Mr. Murali is currently the CEO of Lodestar, a career counseling, a very innovative firm that helps parents and students make scientific career choices. They worked with about 40,000 parents till date and are covered about 150 schools. He's had successful stints with companies like L&T, Asian Paints, and 3M, and has been in the corporate side of business for the last 20 years. Thank you, Mr. Murali. Thank you for joining in. Very interesting insight from you, given that you've had a diverse background and you work with not only teachers, but with a lot of parents and school children as well.
My pleasure, Pawan, and happy to be here in this eminent panel. Look forward to the discussion.
Thank you. So, for everybody joining in, welcome once again to this panel. We're going to be talking about virtual teaching, the skills for the new future, and what does 2020 mean for teachers who are putting together very interesting learning modules or learning technology to teach kids and make them more engaging today. Now, what I would request that for all people joining in, we will take questions at the end of this session. So keep a notepad, write down questions. We have a lot of discussions going around for the next 90 minutes or so. Let me set the context. And like all of you know, COVID-19 has changed how millions of school students around India are educated. We yet don't know if and when schools will resume and how teaching models will be like. Now, with these changes have certainly caused a great degree of inconvenience. They've also prompted, I guess, new examples of education innovation in schools and colleges. Excerpts, academicians, government authorities, I believe, see this a rather permanent move. And if you see a lot of articles, it does look like online teaching is here to stay. Now, schools, either private or government aided, on the other hand, are making large investments to turn classrooms. And I've already made investments into online spaces for e-teaching and also training very comprehensively, making teachers into virtual educators to deliver lessons remotely. Now, if you're a teacher trying to explore new ways of teaching your students, either be primary or in middle or in high school, in especially these times, here is an opportunity to find the balance between technical adaptability and personal connect. Now, beyond just structured curriculum, can teachers go that extra mile with the generosity to share resources, build communities of practice, and develop design thinking? Given that there are really no copyrights to traditional classroom teachers, are we looking at that? Successful teachers, hence, in this new world, I believe, will create a culture of engagement for their staff, for teachers, and families and parents. Now, with a collection of such thoughtful panelists from some of the prestigious schools today I have, what I think I'm attempting to explore is, will teaching in future be that teachers need to engage their students more effectively in a virtual environment? What are the new world skills and how teachers like you need to stay updated and hone your skills? So, what are the current skills you need to hone, and what are the new skills that you need to adapt to? Now, with so much of experience is new, as a panel, what we're trying to establish is this: what was once a great set of skills in the classroom, will that transfer to a virtual environment? And what's new that's needed here? And I think that's what we are trying to establish. Now, let me start with two of my senior panelists here. And I would definitely want to call upon Mrs. Menon. Most of all students are now in front of their laptops, right? Younger children with parents as well. And I guess this is allowing teachers to be more attentive. Now, Mrs. Menon, do you think schools are sensing this as an opportunity in teacher development?
Absolutely. I would think that this is a good time for every teacher to enhance his or her skill. But we tried a few years back to look at technology in situations where teachers had to stay home for various reasons, their family not being well or some kind of personal emergency. It did not go very well with teachers because they always felt they were in school, and what is the need for this kind of technology to come into being there between them and their students. But today the situation has come such that they had to adapt. And I think that a whole lot of them are very grateful for the kind of enhancement that is given to them, that has been given to them in terms of their own image as a teacher and in their own growth as teachers. I think this is a very good opportunity for every single teacher.
Absolutely. Ms. Bhuneshwari, and I want to probably have your insights as well here. Now, does this work in favor of teachers, or do you think it's too overwhelming to teach across a digital medium?
I personally feel it is a favor for the teacher. As Shanti has rightly said, now the good teachers will have a better market now. The creative teachers will explore more. And the teachers who wants to learn, it's an opportunity for them to learn. But Pawan, I'll tell you, it is inevitable. It is not because it's a short duration. I think now the education field will stream to this, and teachers definitely have the favorable. And I could see even in the Facebook yesterday I was going through, there is an ad, the teachers are wanted, the laptops will be provided, the technology will be supported. There's a huge demand for the teachers, and I think it is a fantastic for us as an educators. We are overwhelmed with the things which is happening around. It is it's a learning curve. It's going to increase, and all the teachers will have a better market. It's no doubt about it.
Sure. Let me have some have my other two panelists also take their views on adapting to this new normal, like we say. Now, this transition to the virtual mode will only be successful as a result of I believe, the collaborative efforts of the school administrators, teachers, students, and parents. And I want to talk to Ms. Rajeshwari. How do you see teachers, adapting to this new normal, and what are they doing to do that?
Yeah. Pawan, I feel, we were all very ready for taking to technology, but we never expected that this was going to take us by storm like a tsunami out of nowhere, right? And anything, anywhere, whenever there's something new, the first reaction you would have towards the new is always resistance. And I think all of us, let me be very realistic, it's including myself, said, oh my God, technology is going to shoot me like this. Now, what do I do? Of course, we were not very bad. But, I think with that shock also comes the next step, which is acceptance. Acceptance that I cannot keep myself away from technology. So once I accept, then I start adapting to it. And then the last stage is mastery. So I think the teachers have already gone through the first three phases, and it is the last stage where we are all in. And I'm very sure that within a very short span of time, we are all going to become masters. Now, if you just allow me a minute's time, I'll just share one brief analogy which I would like to bring in. See, arranged marriages are very common in India, right? So there are two situations. One where the groom is suddenly produced in front of the bride and said that, this is the guy you're going to get married to. And in the second situation, you're told, okay, this guy does this, that, there's a lot of brainwashing happening. And then after that, the guy is produced in front of the girl. The girl has two choices. In the case one, where he's produced in front of the bride for the first time, she says yes, adjusts, gets married, and if she's able to adapt, the marriage is a success. If she fails, it is a divorce. But I think teachers today, we have, accepted the situation where we have all got married to technology and we are having a wonderful time.
Right. It's a very good analogy. I think thanks for sharing that. It makes this whole discussion gets into a lighter mode.
Lighter mode.
Mr. Murli, I think you are seeing this from a whole different perspective as a CEO of Lodestar, a career counseling firm which has been interacting with hundreds of parents and students who are anxious about their future. How do you think parents are adapting to this new reality of e-teaching, like we call?
Sure, Pawan. Let me first start by commending and congratulating my co-panelists, because they're leaders of schools, and a school in the post-COVID time is one of the most challenging, environments. And I think, like when you talk of COVID warriors, I think the school principals and teachers are also in some sense COVID warriors. They're taking care of our children and they're enabling parents to work, comfortably at home. So coming to your question, can you just reframe the question a little bit? I just
right. So while I was trying to talk,
our parents.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, one of the surprising things for us as a team was when we were seeing when the COVID thing happened, we thought that that everything will just shut down and people go into a shell. But surprisingly, maybe because of the environment itself that people were at home, we saw a lot of traction of parents and children participating in online sessions and online. So in some sense, the consumer had made the transition, or the user of the service had made the transition. So, and they willingly sort of came forward. So I'm very surprised, because we do these large webinars or large seminars where maybe 200, 300 or more people from across India participate. and there people are participating from the nook and corner of India. And I can make out from the way they're interacting itself that many of them are first-time onliners. But they spend 30, 40 minutes on the webinar. They've learned how to unmute and ask questions. Maybe they've still not learned how to mute their videos, okay, while they're eating food or whatever. But they've learned how to use the chat window. Many of them quickly, within the first 10 minutes, they know that they have to ask their question. Otherwise, the presenter. So I think it's been a welcome revelation for us that their parents are welcoming it and they're adopted to this. Maybe also pushed by their work environments moving online and that entire dynamic working that way. So parents have been welcome, according to me, whatever trend I'm seeing, and they really embrace. In fact, they're more initially the first maybe 4 5 days, parent they were saying that okay, why don't we do the counseling session face to face, etc. Maybe we'll do it. But now I don't think people are even asking that question. Whether it's a group session or it's a one-to-one session, parents are not even asking. So initially, when we went online, we used to make a statement there to say that this program is online. After some time, we just dropped that because online is the new normal, right? So people have accepted that this will be online. In fact, if you say that there will be a face-to-face session, I think they'll be surprised.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Murli. Now, my next question obviously comes, directly from there, and I believe online teaching comes with its own set of challenges. And I think with parents being around and teachers teaching from their own homes, I would like to take this question to Ms. Rajeshwari, Ms. Bhuneshwari, and Ms. Menon. What are your observations about teachers demonstrating specific softer skills like flexibility, empathy, and all of this? How is it looking like in an online mode for teachers today?
May I go first?
Yeah, please.
So I think soft skills are not very specific only to online. I've always maintained this with my bunch of my team of teachers that knowledge can be gained by a child the minute he knows how to find his knowledge. But what makes a teacher, what makes you as a teacher important is your connect with the student. And so the starfish story is always my pet analogy for most of my training programs when I talk to them about how you can make the difference in a child. So it doesn't make it any different while they're online. Of course, parents are going to be lurking behind. We know that for sure. And we anticipate that, though much of my mails would say we want children to have a secluded study place and we don't want disturbance, but we know the parent is there. Of course, they are there. So that's not the real motive of a teacher's connect with the child. The teacher's connect with the child is only to enhance the child's learning, enhance the child's connect with the teacher so that there is enthusiasm and motivation in the child to learn. So having said that, teachers are also a little more alert to the fact that there is this whole wall of technology between the child and the teacher. So she has to ensure that she has got across the child, even with that wall being there. So they are a lot more, I wouldn't know to call it empathetic, but I would call it more alert about it. So little tips like calling out children by name regularly so that every one of them feels attended to or they feel addressed kind of thing. The other thing is while we use Microsoft Teams, the teachers you can only pin nine windows onto your screen. So they regularly rotate those 9 windows. So they're constantly watching the children. And the teachers don't just are consciously ensuring that they go beyond just the subject. So they probably start their period with a little bit of chatting with the children. They talk about things that is what they would normally talk about in a normal class. Children love telling them things about themselves. So there's a bit of that being pulled in. We have a whole lot of our teachers who keep the session going during lunchtime. So children apparently bring their lunch onto their study desk, and the teacher is also having lunch with them, and then they talk about a lot of things. So teachers are getting more and more conscious about having to keep that connect with the children. and looking out for those little indications among the students, which will give them an idea of what really is happening with that child. Is a child connecting with her? Is a child uncomfortable in the classroom that we have? Also, because the larger issue today is there is no peer support, which would have been there in a normal physical school. That is missing. So then the teacher has to enable that a lot more. So she really has to exercise huge amount of patience and huge amount of restraint in terms of, you know, going at her pace, her gut, etc. It has to be
Sure.
at the need of the child. And I think that's with, over the last few months, we found we've been doing online classes from right up from March. And we find that over the months, the teachers, at least the deans, have adapted so well onto the system that they seem to be catching the smallest of details among children,
Right.
and through an online medium, which is amazing, really.
Thank you. How is it, Ms. Bhuneshwari, at residency, and what has been your experience with teachers
Yeah,
here?
the same as here, we started the classes from March. The reason we started in the March is we are the Microsoft school, and the
Right.
two of our teachers being Microsoft certified. They are trainers, the All India trainers they are. So quickly we could have a roadmap and train the teachers across the group. That is have a give a kickstart. Yes, of course, in the beginning for the students to mute and unmute even in the higher classes. We started with the higher classes, so that was a real challenges. And they are aware the parents are there because it's a peak of lockdown time. Everyone was at home. Nobody's even no. It's not a time now we can step into the house. So everyone
Right.
in the house is listening to the teachers of physics concept and math. And teaching math is a real challenge with the Microsoft team itself. So
Yeah.
we need to explore. The teachers started exploring with OneNote and the different platforms, and they started using everything. And now, as the days goes on, the teachers have become very comfortable. I personally say they are very comfortable. And we started with, is our chairman guided, it is not only the scholastics, start with the core scholastics. So we started our class with the life skill. The day one started with a life skill, and we slowly pitched into the art, music, dance, everything. Now it is like a real school. We start with a HRP, that is a USP signature of presidency, that is home connect with the school. And
Okay.
where no, the teachers will have a small talk with the students, as Shanti rightly mentioned. From four people now, Microsoft is also exploded and the windows open for nine people. So it was very fantastic for us in the rotation. So the children will come, talk, show their face, talk to the teachers, meet their friends, everything in the online. Yes, it was challenging for the teachers when every people are around. Now it's a cakewalk for them as they started exploring more. And it is more in the primary level, the parents' interference. Suddenly they will ask some question. We need to handle that with a lot of patience. It's all that I also second what Shanti said is the teachers needs to have a lot of patience, a lot of training, and a lot of empathy, a little bit of more alert as well. And now it is not an issue at all, Pavan. It's going very smoothly. In
Sure.
fact, I personally feel some of the concept goes very well with the online teaching.
Interesting.
It's stimulus,
Interesting.
no? In physics stimulus, my teachers are doing practicals. So
Right.
it is amazing. Grade 12 physics teacher is doing practicals in stimulus. And my math teacher is with the GeoGebra, he is exploring with the other component of graphs and everything.
Right.
It's not stopping in one end, it's keep moving. The
Right.
graph is upward curve.
Right. Thank
Thank
you. Ms. Rajeshwari, what has been your views here at Global Academy for Learning?
Yeah, Pawan, we also started our online classes in the month of April. And
Okay.
initially, we had the Zoom platform which we were using. And when we started off with Zoom, we found, okay, it's pretty user friendly, and all the teachers got used to it pretty quickly and adapted to it very well. And then, after a point of time, we decided to move to Microsoft Teams due to these security reasons.
Right.
And we did find this transition a little bit difficult, in the initial stages, because always what happens is you start comparing. Okay, this was better there, this is not so good here. And when Zoom could show me all the faces at a single in a single shot, here I had only 9 faces which I could see. But as rightly pointed out by the other eminent panelists, Shanti ma'am and Boona ma'am, we also slowly started ensuring that we put the screen on rotation, look at the faces of the children. And when we see the participants, you're able to see everybody's names there. And teachers now very well know the students who are there in the class. So started calling out their names, making them participate in group discussions, and always keeping them engaged in some way or the other. So what happened was, towards the end, we found that this is working out perfectly fine for us. And this transition has also happened very well. Because there were times when maybe the teacher got stuck a little in between when she was teaching, maybe due to some technical aspects. And we had one child saying, "Ma'am, please try this and see if it works out for you." And the moment the teacher did it and it worked out, she said, "Oh, thank you so much. That was enough." That proved to be the morale booster for the child. And automatically, for the next 30 minutes, without anything, that child's focus was all on the teacher. But yes, we need to be absolutely 100% alert, probably more alert than what we've been in the physical classroom, because there is also room here for students to misuse technology. So it's our area, this is our sphere. So that discipline we need to establish, but in a very child-friendly way.
Sure. So when we talk about teachers adapting to technology, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Zoom, if you look at it across India, and virtual teaching demands a complex mix of skills, and I believe a lot of not so progressive schools, teachers there maybe definitely not tech savvy, and obviously, given that it's been suddenly introduced in many schools, I want to bring in the attention of two of my panelists here, Ms. Bhuneshwari and Mr. Murlidhar. Is there a need for continuous faculty training? Well, obviously more rigorous in these times, and skill development to ensure students are more engaged either by using a platform, or you have more comprehensively developed internal modules. And probably we can have Ms. Bhuneshwari to pick that topic and start off with her insights there.
Yes, Pavan, thank you for the question. And it is a need for now. It's not only the normal timing, no, it's even in the normal timing, we need the teachers' orientation and seminars and hand holding. It is a continuous process in the education field. And furthermore, it is more complex in the virtual classrooms. Definitely, it is a need for an hour. And it cannot be stopped with one session or two session, because as even the Microsoft, the team, I mean, other 3 schools are also using, so we are all in the same page, we can talk about it. It is not only secure, it is a little complex platform. I mean, it is very difficult for us to adopt and learn and unlearn and relearn. Actually, no, it is what we have learned is totally different. I think we need to unlearn, and we need to completely relearn entire process. For that, we need a constant, a structured plan for the teacher's orientation.
Sure.
This is very, very important. It is
Sure.
not only for the soft skill, even for the 21st learning century skills also.
Yeah.
We need to have that. We need to have all 4 C's in place. And it is very complex. The collaboration becomes more tougher here. And creativity, I mean, how best I will do it in online is the creativity is a very challengeable. So definitely, the roadmap should be there with every school, that how I'm going to train all my teachers. Step 1, what is my that? Then where it takes it. The flow chart will help us to see where is the end, what we are going to see. So
Sure.
I strongly recommend, and we need to have a complete plan for that.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for teachers to take it forward.
Right. So, Mr. Murli, you've been working with 100 plus schools across India, and I think we could probably deep dive and ask you, what kind of skill development or faculty training or module development or platforms that teachers or schools that work with you have been doing or have been doing in the past or in the last few months itself.
See, I think there's a whole scenario is fairly new for schools. So each school is, I think, the way I see when I talk to school owners across India, is that they're learning step by step, as was evident from some of the answers on from my co-panelists also. I think they're
Right.
picking up one thing at a time, one platform, and they're learning and they're putting in various systems. I think there are three things. One is there's a platform learning that has to happen. That depends on
Okay.
what platform you use and stuff like that. Second, there is the whole engagement and control of the student and of the class. Now, how do you bring engagement with the students? How do you make the whole process? Because see, on the technology, what happens is that there is, as Mr. Shantiman said, there's a wall of the technology, and the teacher
Correct.
feels disconnected from the student. The student also feels that. So this is a whole set of what will you do to bring in engagement. And the third thing is obviously how you use the new methodology or the new platform to enhance pedagogy itself, to enhance the teaching steps itself. Okay. So I think schools, the way I see it is, are working on each one of them. And yeah, it would be a great idea to maybe pick up the learnings and put them into modules so that it
Yeah.
helps more number of teachers. Because I think some of
Right.
the progressive schools are able to quickly pick up the learning, put in a training institute, a training kind of program,
Yeah.
and get on, get live. But I think there are many
Right.
schools which still are not there and which would be struggling to, figure this out. For
True.
example, engagement of students is a very big issue, because to the
Okay.
student also, many of the devices that they're working with are very
Correct.
limited. Some of the
Correct.
students may be on a mobile, okay, or they may be on a laptop, which is not great. So how do you bring in engagement? I think in the physical dimension, there is a whole physicality to the whole thing. Like, even when you're seeing the child, even without talking, the child knows that you're observing him or her.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that kind of a thing can happen. But here, that dimension is not there, right? The other thing is that looking at one screen constantly for the child and for the learner is also extremely, unnerving, and it actually drains your energy. So how do you
Hmm.
bring in engagement? I'd like to just give a small example. We did a 4-hour workshop for Thai, actually, with exactly the
Okay.
similar kind of audience, 8th
Hmm.
standard to about maybe 10th, 11th standard. And
Okay.
this was on team building. Okay, and this is a 4-hour workshop that we ran. And
Okay.
typically, when you run it for this cohort earlier, this used to be run in a very physical kind of environment, like, because about team building. So how do you connect to people? How do you form teams?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had games and stuff like that. So the challenge was firstly 4 hours, okay, about 45 children, and all disparate, they're not from the same school. And then how do we do this? But actually, they're very innovative ways. For
Hmm.
example, some of these platforms allow you to form rooms. So there
Okay.
is a main session, there's a sub room you can form.
Right.
So we
Right.
use those features to actually divide the cohort of 46 into sub rooms. And even
Okay.
dividing the 46 into eight groups, we made that a challenge. So we told the
Okay.
46 that, okay, there's a Google Sheet, please upload your skills. Okay, then we said, now go. Now all of you have to form teams of 8. So the children said, how are we going to do that? We don't know each other. He said, we have three mechanisms. You have your WhatsApp group, you have the chat, and you can unmute and talk. So actually, for the next 10 minutes, there was bedlam, right? People were like, some children said, no, this is not possible. Some of the
Okay.
leaders type said, no, we'll crack it. So one guy said, I'm team number one, I'm the leader, so who wants to join? They use their own different strategies. But you'll be surprised how they adapted when we let the chaos run. No, within 15 minutes, so 8 groups had formed, and we
Okay.
had those usual challenges, right? So somebody landed up in the wrong meeting room, and they said, "Oh, this is not my group." Somebody said, "Okay, you're not in my group. I'll check you
Right.
out on that."
Right.
I
Right.
was just comparing this to the physical thing. The physical thing, same thing happens, right? When you're asking 47 people to form 8 groups, some children will
Yeah.
not even move on the chair. They'll not even be proactive. All
Right.
that. So it's a mirroring. So that's it. But it worked.
Okay.
And so this is what I felt was that one activity over 25 minutes brought complete life to that whole session. And
Okay.
children felt as if they're really important, because they had to switch panels and they had to go to the group and they had to call out for people and all that. So maybe the teachers and these, I think, examples, the training modules can pick up these best practices, and that learning could help other teachers.
Right.
Okay. One
Right.
of the other things I find is that in the face of technology, a lot of teachers first time are very formal. Okay, I think one of the co-panelists also mentioned this. They're very formal. So
Yeah.
I think as they start using the platform a bit, and and they become a little informal. I think kids love technology
Love it,
basically, right?
actually.
They adapt to it faster than you are, right?
Yeah.
So if you say that, okay, let's get some chaos, do this, over the fast, like for example, one of the large online training companies have this whole thing of a leaderboard.
Yeah.
So they have rule that in every class, every 7th minute, you've got to ask a question and have a leaderboard.
Correct.
So typically, people and kids are apparently waiting to answer the question. Huh? They're like saying that today my name must be first on the leaderboard. So they will
Okay.
answer a yes. The name comes up on the leaderboard. Their teacher announces, yes,
Very
Anusha,
interesting.
you are number one. Rajiv, you are number one, or whatever. Right? And children are very excited. It's the same learning they're doing, but there's a gamification element here, which
Okay.
so maybe those best practices, Pawan, could be picked up and
Sure.
documented, and that could become a great, set of
Sure.
training programs.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Murli. In fact, I think the takeaway for a lot of teachers, especially listening into this particular a few minutes, I guess, one, like Ms. Bhuneshwari said, having a roadmap, especially in the next say, 2 quarters is very, very important. What you want teachers to do now and what you want them to do later. And like you said, I think the biggest takeaway is to have a documentation of the technology, the way teachers can adapt, what does the platform do, how can you actively engage students using the platform and its features is another fantastic thing. Now, I want to call upon two of my other panelists and address a very important issue here. While most teachers enjoy teaching in person, obviously because of the opportunity to interact with students and share their passion for a subject, uh, Ms. Menon, how can teachers bring in the same energy in an online class and create that ambience? What are your views on it?
Well, I would think that teachers are, scrambling over each other to ensure that their classes are as effective as a normal physical classroom. So every one of them prides on their ability to deliver a class, especially when it's in a physical mode. They don't want this kind of technology to undercut that efficiency or that kind of edge they have as teachers. So
Exactly.
they are going out of their way to ensure that they learn every single trick, I would call it. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, who's a completely non-tech person, I would
Yeah.
call it a trick. So
Right.
every teacher is standing upside down to learn that trick. So there was a situation, I mean, I just have to talk about a few situations that we have had. So when we started this whole bit, it was very overwhelming for me because I just couldn't understand what was going on half the time. We were using Teams, and the younger girls were picking it up, the younger boys were picking it up, and I would like to call us the slightly younger of the lot. We were struggling with the whole thing, So I said, doesn't matter. A lot of you finding it difficult, just fix a whiteboard behind you and use it. So many of my um, senior colleagues decided, okay, forget the technology bit. This is only for the kids to see me, and I'm going to take a normal class. Classes were very effective. And then it so happened that before I even knew it, there are people who are carrying their laptops into somebody else's homes, taking the trip there, going and learning it up, coming in and executing it, and then there's a mail exchange, yes, it worked. So what worked is, I'm not privy to the whole thing. All I know is that the mail went across and I'm copied on, yes, it worked. Today's class was wonderful. So I said, so what are you talking about? Oh, I learned how to use this part of the tool, And so I think teachers are standing upside down to get to learn each of those tricks only because they want to make their class as effective as it was in a normal classroom. So there have been situations like one of my co-panelists spoke about where parents are pitching in also to help the teacher. The teachers are taking it very well. Don't worry, today this parent talked to me about this, so I'm going to actually practice it out and execute it. So essentially, I think the teachers are finding ways and means to figure out how to engage with each child. Like I said earlier, there are people who like to sit with their children during lunchtime, and that's a process we anyway follow in physical classes. The teachers have lunch with the children in the classroom. So they found that this is no different. We just have lunch with them, we get to know a lot more about the children. Similarly, the way we're tracking each child's progress, a child has not uploaded or submitted a certain thing. It is not so. The process is report if somebody has not uploaded a particular tag. That's not what our teachers would do. The kind of empathy and the kind of connect with their student is so high that they first figure out what could have been the problem. So they first figured that out, help the child through it, and then the report comes to us saying that this is what happened. The child could not upload, but I know what the reason is. I have given that child this much of time. I'm condoning that kind of thing. So I think the connect with the children has increased with a lot of deliberate actions from their end, very consciously taking the trouble to ensure that every child in that class is connected to her or him. To the extent that I know, while we were running kindergarten, we didn't call them classes, we called them party. Every day was a party for the kindergarten. So we used to have 20-minute sessions or 2 sessions a day for kindergarten. We have mails which have come in now saying, फिर से टीचर भूल गए कंप्यूटर में आने के लिए, because that's a connection you've made in those 2 weeks of classes. So I think the teachers have taken a lot of effort and a lot of pride in ensuring that they held on to that kind of level of delivery that they always used to be known for. So,
sure. Ms. Rajeshwari, what is your...
Can I just...
Yeah, sure, Mr. Murli. Love to hear from you again.
Yeah. See, one of the things that when we trained and onboarded a lot of teachers, one of the things we did, like for a lot of our sessions, we don't call them teacher, we call them facilitators, but it's a similar role. They're taking a class. What we did was we made them experience the whole class as a student. So your empathy, also your understanding of the experience grows when you do it, right? So our routine is that we tell our facilitators that 1 week to 10 days, you have to log into every webinar that we do, and you have to be a part. They observe a lot of nuances. For example, when to engage people, what happens if there's a long pause, what happens if you don't answer questions. Okay, that we do, okay, and so that they get that experience. The other learning that we had was that, see, in the physical classroom, the many students may not raise their hands and ask questions. But in the online, that anonymity and the chat being available, a lot of them are raring to go.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so if they're raring to go, then also, you should recognize that. And the first thing that you do is that maybe while you have a structure, for example, you have a structure to say that I'll speak for 30 minutes, but actually the user is not consuming like that. They already have 3 questions in their mind and the plan. So if you sort of take shorter breaks, like you do a topic for 5-6 minutes, and then you say, okay, now, Manisha has a question, or Ashok has a question, or naming them and asking them and answering them, or even responding to the comments. What you said was right. That enhances the level of comfort and the engagement. So some of these things, make it would help the teacher to really, get empathetic with the student.
Yeah, interesting. I think that's really interesting. Ms. Rajeshwari, I really wanted to bring you in here and ask you about, how are teachers able to create that ambience? Obviously, like Ms. Menon said, there is a lot of action learning that happens, and also teachers, like use whiteboards. How has it been for you and teachers that you work with there?
Yeah, I think all of us, have to have one thing in our mind before we go in for an online class or a physical classroom. Something which I really feel is very important is preparation.
Yeah.
And we need to understand that children today are very well informed and they have access to a lot of things which probably we as children never had access to. So our first intention or the first line in preparation is I have to be 2 steps ahead of the children. At the same time, I need to connect with what they are speaking about, right? And I'll just share some of the experiences. Of course, apart from being a principal, I also teach my 10th grade students.
Yeah.
So during one of my sessions, the first few days we just got adjusted. We said, okay, these are the new norms. Probably this is how we are going to connect. And when I was teaching, I had a question which I posed to my children, and there was a sudden silence. Nobody was speaking. And I said, what is this? And I said, it's such a boring class. I want you all to speak. And suddenly I could see everybody unmuting and saying, ma'am, are you okay if you are all going to speak? I said, yes, otherwise it's going to be a one-way traffic. and I speak, you listen, and the class gets over. It's so boring. And that day, I found a little bit of extra energy in the children. And then, whenever I used to log in for taking my classes, they said, "Ma'am, we are very happy." One of my students, he said so. I said, "Why are you so happy?" Said, "Ma'am, there is no restriction on our talking here." I said, "Yes, that's the way we learn from one another, and let's all enjoy ourselves." Another thing which I feel is, every time when we look at ourselves, what is going to be my confidence builder? When I dress up well, when I feel good standing in front of a mirror, I'm automatically energized. I'm ready for the whole day. And when I go there and motivate all my children and say, "Hey, come on, I'm feeling so good. Why don't we all, do something and feel good
Something.
about ourselves?" Very
Yeah.
spontaneously, they are there. And
True.
when we, when we are sharing, when we are taking a class, if we are able to connect those classroom teaching, whatever the content is, to real life incidents, asking small questions like, did you have your breakfast? Or maybe one student, the parents would have complained to us saying, "My child doesn't drink water at all." Suddenly reminding the child, "Hey, did you have your sip of water?" They say, "Ma'am, do you still remember all that?" That personal touch, when it is there with the children, I think the learning is, the learning goals are very, very well achieved. We
Absolutely.
should be knowing of our goals, but the
Yeah.
way we approach it, I think initially we as teachers were also a little conscious because we had become public celebrities all of a sudden, with everybody casting a hawk's eye on
True.
us. I think now we don't care about it. It's
Right.
okay if 10 people are watching me around. Let me
Correct,
be my normal
correct.
self. I need not fake it. Yeah, if
Right.
the children are misbehaving, let me reprimand. But if they
Yes,
are doing a good job, let's appreciate it. So I don't see any difference today between
Okay.
a physical classroom and a virtual classroom. I think
Right.
we evolved over a period of time. It's not happened overnight, but we have
Okay.
learned this new trick. Shanti ma'am
Fantastic.
very rightly said it's a trick.
Right. Right. Now, I think I think all teachers, have those tricks up their sleeves. And I
yes.
guess, I think day by day, every teacher, like both of you said, and like the way Murli added, they're learning new things on the job. It is not that they come up prepared with a guide, but they're learning by doing. And I think that's a great thing. Now, let me shift away from the urban progressive schools that all of us are a part of. And I want to slightly bring in some of the challenges that a lot of teachers have written to me, and I have also spoken to a few of them. Now, most schools like yours have invested in virtual platforms and also upgraded it in recent times, with different platforms which are coming new. But practically speaking, there is a question of not all students are digital or tech savvy, and not all teachers really are tech savvy, as you said. There's also a digital divide, and I think it's between haves and have-nots. I think it's reflective in non-accessibility, affordability, well, non-availability itself of a great laptop or a good smartphone. So, what alternatives do schools and teachers have, to ensure students' learning doesn't suffer, and at the same time, a very important thing like academic milestones are met. And this is a question that I'm opening up to all of you as a panelist, and I really want your perspectives here. And I think it's a very, very critical question for us to answer, given that 60% of the not so progressive schools remain in not in the commercial district of any city today in India.
I think if I may go first,
Yeah.
I think it's a tough one, Pawan. Frankly speaking, that there is no clear answer to that. There are a lot of startups, a lot of companies which have tried to enable online teaching with minimal phones and minimal
Yeah.
bandwidth and stuff. So one of my batchmates himself runs something called Ask Vidyalaya, which is for children of workers, laborers,
Right.
etc., who typically
Right.
to drop out of school because they moved. And and a very basic phone is enabled the whole thing. So I think one
Okay.
of the tricks using there is, whatever, basically recorded classes, a mix
Okay.
of recorded classes versus and live classes.
Okay.
So that the kid can, view those classes at a time and place when the device is available. Because also
Okay.
the device may not be available for the child all through. The
Okay.
parent may have
Right.
taken the device,
Right.
the device in the
Right.
file.
Yes.
So those are something, but it is definitely a challenge. I think television could offer you one larger solution, using television as a mechanism. And the only other thing is that, but at the same time, I think access of bandwidth has grown in the country.
Okay.
So, I think if you look at even tier 2, tier 3 towns, access of bandwidth is there, but in that relevant population, is the device and the bandwidth both there? That question is $1 million question. So,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
tough one.
Yeah.
But it's tough, yeah. I think recorded sessions could be one, because there's asynchronous at least. So even in a premier institute like ICER, to which my son goes, they have actually not attended online classes.
Okay.
You'll be surprised, because they're saying that out of the 200 children in every batch and totally about 1,000 children, though it's a premier science institute, there are many children from the hinterland and from northeast, the places where they're saying that. So they have taken a policy that I was actually surprised. I was watching for the last 3 months, but they've not attempted online, and they're attempting asynchronous. So they're recording sessions, they're sending sessions.
Synchronous.
They make people learn, but that self-learning will work for higher classes. Again, the challenge would be for lower classes. It will be a problem.
Sure. Okay.
I just would like to add something here. It need not be where you come from, whether you're from the rural background or from the urban. I think a more common problem that we are facing is a family which has got probably two children. When we give out a timetable about saying that, this is the timetable for grade 4 or 5 or 6, whatever we feel. What happens is there are two children who are, say, maybe one in the 7th grade and one in the 9th grade. The family is very well equipped with all the latest gadgets, but the classes are clashing. And I don't think schools will be able to look at the siblings being, caused any kind of trouble like this. It's not deliberate, but these things are happening. And at that time, how does the child adjust? So in our school, we have made one provision where we feel wherever the children like to connect with the teachers beyond the school hours, we have given them a particular teacher as the point of contact, and they can definitely get back to the teacher and have their doubts clarified. And our Saturdays, it is mainly meant for the remedial classes. Probably children could not pick up during the group session, which happened, or sometimes it is internet connectivity. So what we do is, if we find that a particular child has not been attending the classes on a regular basis, our teacher, the point of contact, that particular teacher in charge calls up the parents and tries to find out what's been the reason behind the child's absence. And if it is a genuine reason, the teacher goes for conducting a remedial class on Saturday and ensuring that the child is not left behind. And also, when we send our worksheets, if at all we have given this freedom to the parents, that in case they want us to print the worksheets and give it to them, may not be that everybody has a printer at home. So they are most welcome to come, to reach out to us, collect it in person and go. And we ensure that every child gets his or her due. Nobody is left behind in this.
Okay.
Okay. Can I go? Go ahead.
Please.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Actually, what we are doing is we are also not all the time, Pawan. Sometimes, no, we may have a power cut. There is a low. It is not only the remote area. Even in our place in Bangalore, in many times we will have the problem. So we have already, as I said, when we are planning only, we have a roadmap ready. If not a plan A, what could be the plan B? As rightly said by the panelists, we also have the worksheet in place in every classes, and we also record and send it every aspects. And the teachers, while taking, what happens in Teams is you can record the classes, you can stream it actually. So we will put it in a stream. So anytime the parents are free, they can just pull out from the stream. So the stream is possible in Microsoft Teams. So that is one advantage. So all good classes being, suppose the teacher, we have 5 sections in grade 10. All the 5 sections mathematics component is being recorded. The students can even listen to the other teacher as well. It is not only for a particular class, a teacher. I mean, we are actually, expanding that, as I mentioned, right? It is going beyond, like the graph is, the learning curve is increasing now. So that is one of the best point. And we also have some of our thing. We have a Dropbox where we drop all the assignments and everything. The parents can come pick up and do the needful. So
Okay.
all possibilities. So we had a plan A, plan B, and plan C. And if
Okay.
nothing is working out, and we have a lot of special children in our school. So we have
Okay.
started, and we started the classes for them as well. Because even grade
Okay.
10 and 12 also we have some children. So the
Right.
for class has started for the special need children also by our special educators and counselors. So the windows are open all the time according to the convenience of the students, and sometimes the parents do come. Now, if nothing is working out, now there's a WhatsApp is there, we will just forward. If the parent is
Okay.
telling we are not able to, that is one of
Right.
the easiest way. Of
Right.
course, we had a last week a panel discussion whether it is official and not official and all. But they said it is everything. If you use it for an official, it is an official purpose.
Yeah.
So worst come worst, if nothing is working out, that is an options we are adopting, and it is
Okay.
very successful. It caters to all the level.
Right. That's interesting. Ms. Menon, what are your views as a panelist
Yeah.
here?
So, in terms of remote, we have a whole lot of students who are stuck in the western part of the globe, unable to attend classes on a on a synchronous mode kind of thing. So
Right.
for those people, we anyway have to send everything recorded.
Right.
Like she said, since the Microsoft Teams allows us to record it, we do send it to them. Then there are children who genuinely, of course, are not able to log in on a particular day, etc. Then we have to help them out. One of the things that we did is when they were twins in two separate sections, we have clubbed them all together so that
Mm.
devices, number of devices in a home is not a concern for parents.
Okay.
So, except when they have to do assessments, which we do very regularly, every time that something new is taught, and before we move on to the next thing, have a quick assessment, probably 10-15 minutes or less than 10-15 minutes
Okay.
sometimes, to
Okay.
check the progress of the child's learning. So we have been able to manage these kind of technological problems. There are
Okay.
certain parents who have even started using Chromecast to enable classes in their for their children. I thought that was a very ingenious method to do it, especially since it's not a small screen; it's a large screen, and then they listening to using speakers, so that the it's not imposing on the ears as
Right.
much as it's not imposing on the eyes.
Right.
So having said all of this, there is so possibly we belong, the three of us belong to those habit kind of schools. We
Right.
don't belong to the have not kind
Exactly.
of schools.
Right.
But there are a lot of schools which I'm sure are having problems of this kind. I would think that private schools like ours, if we could just enable those videos in terms of uh, supplying it to those children, if they can collect into groups of 3 or 4 and stream it through TV or something like that,
Yeah.
it would help all of those children because the problems are not in schools like ours. The problems are in those schools where they have no technological support. But having said that, again, I know that a lot of NGOs are working towards supplying those kind of children with devices. I know there are a lot of companies who are working with subsidized rates of devices, which
Yeah.
is accessible to most children now at very good buying terms. They're down payment, everything is very, very reasonable. So
Right.
I would think that people are adapting because we all did have problems initially with parents who were up in arms. How do we manage it? We don't have enough devices. All of us are working from home. I mean, these are the kind of issues that most
Yeah.
parents had at that point, though they're all from the technology background.
Right.
But eventually, I think it's all got erased because they have managed to figure out different kinds of devices, smartphones, like I said, Chromecast and all of that. So I think it's working. And just like both my other two colleagues have, I mean, two panelists, co-panelists have spoken about, we've also enabled those extra classes for children to reach out when they need help. If they missed out a class, the only rider is inform us instantly. Write a note to the class teacher saying my child has missed this class, and she
Right.
will figure. The sentence I've always written to parents is that the teacher will figure out how to reach out to your child and keep
Correct.
his learning going.
Right.
One additional thing we have done, and I think it was covered in the newspapers a month back, and it's again we're doing a second round starting today, we have home delivered books for children.
Interesting.
So our transport fleet is carrying books for children, and parents are coming to the bus stop, designated bus stops that we have
Okay.
on our bus routes, and they're picking up the children's kids. So that
Okay.
has helped them, actually be able to do a lot of work beyond the screen also. So textbooks, and we create our own workbooks. So we didn't have
Right.
because there's one thing that is very clear about is parents will not print. All that we
Okay.
need support from parents is they will upload if a child is not able to upload on his own. I think grade 1 to 3 cannot do it on their own, but
Correct.
grade 4 upwards are managing it by themselves. They are uploading
True.
whatever they do. And anyway, when you work on OneNote on Teams, automatically if the teacher is able to see what the child has done.
Right.
So we have enabled this, which has helped a lot of parents. So it also has complied with the government policy of cutting down on screen time and all of that.
Correct.
Because they have everything in their hands physically too.
Right. Right. So I think
Actually,
really.
can I just add
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
point here? Like when Shanti Menon talked about haves and have-nots, I think one of the other data points we need to remember is that online education, maybe slightly at the higher classes, but it's up to sixth now with platforms like a Byju or a
Correct.
Vedantu or a number.
Yeah.
The number of enrolled and attending students are humongous, right? Especially in this, they are like in crores now, the numbers.
Correct,
So
correct.
somewhere, I think students are also solving the problem of the finding the device, finding the connectivity. So we are doing a
Correct.
lot of online classes on one of these platforms about career, and we see every class is attended by not less than 1,500 children, and many of
Okay.
them are like from across the country. And the
Right.
names itself, we can make out that they're from nook and corner of the country, and
Right.
but they found the device, they're there 1 hour, they get logged out, they come back, and
Right.
it's working. It's like a amazing revolution in terms of online. The numbers there are really mind-boggling. Number of
Okay.
students who are using online.
You can't miss that the newspaper report of a child sitting on the rooftop
Yeah.
somewhere
That's
in the
right.
remote aspects of Kerala where he was attending. So
Absolutely.
Yes.
people have
Yeah.
got ingenious about how to get onto their classes.
Right.
Yes.
So I think interesting takeaways. I think from, like you said, from pre-recorded videos to making online teaching inclusive to post-classroom, mentoring sessions either on a weekend or in the evening to delivering material to parents. I think there is a lot of strategies. And as a teacher, or if you're a school administrator, if you're listening to this. If you spend time in the last few minutes, I think there is really interesting takeaways that you can adapt or you can pick and choose from what you want to do, especially with your students sitting at home and with parents. And I think it's very important that it's in a collaborative effort, and it will not stay just with the teacher and the student. The whole community works together, and I think it's very important that the platform works in sync with the teacher at this point. Now, coming to my next question, I think we also want to look at a very important aspect in education, which is assessment. Now, three issues arise here. One is student assessment. Now, the second one is teacher assessment, and the third one is the impact of that assessment on performance. Now, I want to bring in Ms. Rajeshwari, Ms. Bhuneshwari, and Ms. Menon here for my first part of that question. Now, while institutions are looking at several ways to assess learning outcomes, now how is teacher assessment conducted? To what extent is it to what extent a teacher has been able to adapt or use the platform, or is it how engaging the class was? So what are some parameters, or what is the way that you would have an assessment for a teacher today, and how is it going to evolve in the next few months?
May I go?
Yeah, please.
All of this is important. Every one of this is important. Starting with the teacher's ability to adapt, the teacher's conviction to need to adapt, the teacher's willingness to adapt, the teacher's willingness to learn, the teacher's excitement about trying out everything else. And finally, what is a learner's output? is a true reflection of what a teacher is doing in the classroom. So to check on all of this, of course, the back end of is the teacher adapting, learning, and all of that we can actually physically see and measure and kind of thing. But what happens in the classroom is something that really reflects on the teacher's, um, if you would call it an appraisal of her performance or his performance. So for this reason, every team or every class team, that they are called class teams. The class is called a team in Microsoft Teams. Every team has got all of us seniors attached to it. Apart from seniors, there are peers attached to it. So we have multiple methods of watching a teacher. So apart from me, there would be a subject coordinator, a section head, a headmistress, a peer, a colleague watching. So multiple people watching, and eternally the feedback is going up and down, kind of thing. So it's not about assessing a teacher's effectivity, but assessing for betterment. So that's what we're trying to do. So we are all watching every teacher, and they're very comfortable with it because that's how we do it even in physical school. There are a lot of people watching a class all the time. So they know that we are watching them. In fact, children will say, you know what, Shanti ma'am has logged into our class. It's so funny. The kids also notice you are there. And sometimes they have a little chat. They don't chat with me as much, but they have their chat with their headmistress kind of thing. So all of this goes into feeding back to improving and enhancing that particular teacher's skill. So the assessment is for enhancement. Assessment is not for typecasting or for labeling or for anything that would transfer directly into an appraisal.
Right.
At the bottom of it, so everything that a teacher does has to be. I wouldn't want to call it monitored, but I would like to call it supported, because unless you support the teacher on every one little endeavor, you're not going to have the teacher feeling motivated to deliver and better or enhance their output. So I think that's how the assessment of a teacher's output is covered.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Can I go ahead, Pawan? Is it okay? Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. How we go with the assessment is teachers' assessment is it's mandatory, and we need to handhold. I personally feel we need to handhold them in terms of orienting them and conducting the workshop first. How we started is we have the departments. So we started orientation first in place. Before going online, we actually made the teachers to present it, and there we started helping them which area they need to improve. We have the head of the departments and coordinators, and we have the curriculum team as well. We have a R&D curriculum and audit team separately, and they also will pitch in and give suggestions with the subject's expertise and the content the HODs will take care of it. So we first ensured that all the teachers are trained in the first before we went on to live. That was a first important thing we did. And the second one, once it was, yes, the classes were observed, and we will just tell them to which area they need to, especially the soft skills, how to improve that, and how they can enhance the class, how they can engage the class, how the content can be delivered. All that we've been constantly helping them. So, assessment on, as your question asked, how it is going to be further, I mean, how it is going to be taken further. It is going to be a slight, we cannot, we need to go with the day, this day, and we need to guide the teachers. And while we are guiding the teachers, what happens is, I think the problem of checking them will not be there. It's just guiding them. I actually put it across hand holding them, and in a right sense. And they are also looking forward because everyone wants to give the best to the kids. The passion comes here first, Pavan. I mean, then anything else. The teachers are rightly said by the other panelists. The teachers are also the warriors. The passion comes first for them. They go out of the way to learn many things. Video recording, you won't believe. Sometimes they do it in the midnight because they need to ensure the entire family is in. No, I mean the teachers. I mean, amazing. Salute to the teachers. I mean, most of the video recording happens in the midnight. We appears to be 2 minutes and 3 minutes, but when we got into the recording, then we know the pain. But they used to record it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and send the content, which is really challenging for the teachers. Hats off to the teachers, and definitely this assessment will definitely will help them to explore more. The demand curve will increase for the teachers.
Yeah. Right. Sure.
Yeah. Pawan, I think I completely agree with Shanti ma'am and Bhuneshwari ma'am. We are also using Microsoft Teams, so we are the senior faculty. Myself, my management, everybody is a part of all the teams. So the
Right.
teachers are already aware even before they start the class that anybody might log into my class and I may be observed. So what's
Okay.
happened is their preparedness has also become much better. You know, the
Right.
moment I know that somebody is going to observe me, I'll also be doubly alert. And
Okay.
again, for those of us who are observing, there are two things now. You know, we can pinpoint and be judgmental, or we can be empathetic and guide them. So we prefer to take the second route where we are
Right.
not judgmental. We are not
Right.
trying to say you don't know this or you're not doing this. Could it be done better? That is just to reach the learning goals. Yeah, and
Okay.
when we put it across like this, I think we have won the battle, and we are all COVID warriors, as rightly said by ma'am. And also, when it comes to peers, what I'm finding now is, you know, when you have a peer watching you, what happens is after a class, he or she goes ahead and says, "Oh, I have learned something new from you. Can I adapt it in my classroom?" And the other says, "Oh, did you find my technique so good? Well, fine, then if you have some tricks, please teach me." The collaborative work has become much more effective right now, is what I have seen. There's no more like it's mine and I'll hold on to it and I'm not going to share it with you, which was there once upon a time, which we can call it like unhealthy competition, has now changed to very, very effective collaboration. That's the change I'm seeing now. And
Okay.
teacher assessment is happening much better than before.
Interesting. Sure. Thank you. Mr. Burley, I want to come to you. You've been in the field of education and assessments, and I think the question would be, how is, the assessment of impact, or what is the assessment of the learning outcome itself? So, what are some of the short-term and longer-term effects that you would see as educationists and for teachers that you work with?
No, I think coming from our experience at Meritrack, I think we've been talking about assessments and online
Yeah.
assessments for a long time.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think technology enables you to do a whole host of micro assessments, which otherwise in a physical class may or may not be possible, right?
Right.
Right
True.
from recorded videos being available for later
Right.
audit and stuff like that,
Right.
right?
True.
So I think this is maybe the happy times for assessment
Yeah.
technologies to be implemented, right? So at a basic level, I think for a teacher, right from using a basic Google form to assess the quick impact on the students, like quick yes, no, were you happy, to building a small, pop-up which says, which are smileys, awesome, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, A lot of things can
Absolutely.
be a quick feedback from each session, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, for some of our sessions with, though this is on the topic of career guidance, but we're using a quick Google form. So it's just simple,
Right.
two questions, and it's non-threatening. And so if a teacher gets a 3 out of 5 rating, the teacher herself or himself knows that I need to do something more here. So that kind of a thing could be done. And obviously, in terms of learning outcome assessments, right from MCQs to descriptive, I think the technology exists today.
Okay.
One data I would like to share is I was talking to a colleague in Meritrack, and they've said that they've done about 25,000 university or entrance exam proctored exams. So
Okay.
entrance exams are high stakes exams, right? You're trying to
Right.
get into an institution, so
Right.
it's a selection process. And they've done in the last 2 months itself, they've done about 25,000 such assessments for multiple institutions, and all of them are proctored. And it's amazing
Okay.
the kind of technology that is possible, and the
Fantastic.
kind of flexibility with the technology also. Like it's not only
Yeah.
MCQs, but in one of the universities, the requirement was that the student has to write on a piece of paper,
Right.
scan,
Right.
and send.
Okay.
So now the proctoring challenge is, was the paper already pre-written? Okay, or so the camera and the technology has gone to a level where we could figure out that it's not pre-written and it is being scanned right now and it's got uploaded and the whole thing is networked. So it's amazing actually. So
Okay.
these tools are available. And I think due to the COVID situation, a lot of these larger institutions have already moved in that direction.
True.
I'm sure some of these technologies will be available for the schools also
Okay.
to be used at various points of time, depending on how effective it is. So I
Okay.
think it's the tools are available, and it makes the assessments much more richer and much more granular. More data
Okay.
points now at a level is easily available. So that I think becomes a possibility now in this scenario.
Sure.
If I may
Uh,
just add
And
here,
oh,
uh,
okay.
yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead, ma'am. Yes, go ahead.
Ms. Bhuvneshwari, you want to go
Yeah,
ahead first?
Shanti, you go. I'll just follow you.
Okay, so so the whole part thing of assessments has become so much more interesting. Everything is at the click of a button. So you really don't know while you're using Microsoft Teams, you don't have any AI system there to
Right.
check to see if there's plagiarism, etc. Teachers have downloaded apps which can detect plagiarism on one end. The other aspect is, and I think that's the more enriching aspect for a facilitator itself, is they've started looking at more thinking questions where the child cannot pick off an answer straight from the net or pick it off
Right.
straight from the textbook. So
Right.
I think that in that sense, it's making a teacher find herself getting richer
Right.
because every question has to be turned into a thinking question, has
Right.
to be utilizing concepts, has to be application of concept. It cannot be straightforward. They might have a paper for about 5 marks, which is an MCQ, which is straightforward. But
Okay.
even there, they have started trying to find, where the child has to think. So even if it's a short assessment, the assessment is effective because it is not straight up testing knowledge or remembrance. It's testing the higher order of that whole pyramid of learning.
Got
So
it.
I think in that terms, both the child and the teacher is feeling far more enriched because the
Right.
teachers had possibly, if you look at a typical CBSE requirement, they require 40% as high order thinking and not anything more. But
Yeah.
and teachers were used to that. But today they're looking at everything being, application oriented and thinking questions. So it has enriched their whole experience, I would say, in terms of assessment.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adding to the other panelist, what we have explored a app, different app for the assessment for the students, and that you can time it out as well. You can time it out, and you can fix the exam. But only thing is the teacher's work has become double because she needs to set the paper, upload the paper, and start the examination, monitor the examination, close the examination, again download the PDF file, correct
Okay.
the paper, again upload it in the assessment.
Okay.
That is one big challenge. It is like one vicious circle for the teachers to conduct the
Right.
test. Suppose she wants to conduct the test for 20 marks and 40 marks. And
Right.
Microsoft have a forms. In that forms, the teachers can correct, and it is autocorrect. So the teachers can use it for the small snaps test and other things. As other panelists said, the teachers' questioning needs to be, in a higher order thinking, so that
Right.
the students don't take it from the Google and cut,
Right.
copy, paste it, and write the test. And so that is also there. So, but the app which we are downloaded and we are exploring it's really good. And only thing is, that we need to tell the students need to be how to be honest and other things. But as other panelists said, there are the other apps. If you turn around 60-degree, the
Right.
information will come to you and you can monitor. And when they are uploading with the QR code, also you will come to know. So
Correct.
these are the advantage we are getting the technology. As we are always concluding with this, and learning and everything is going upward curve. It's really
Yeah.
a fantastic to
Really.
know.
Yeah. No, I think a great, great,
Pawan,
great
if I may
insight.
just add,
Yeah. Sure,
there's
Murli.
a new
Yes.
job role of an online proctor that's come up,
Okay.
right?
Interesting. Tell us
So
more about it.
there's a person who was speaking to me and they were saying that, last 5 days I've been doing online proctoring. I said, what's
Okay.
that? Like, so there's like a gig economy job, okay? So he says this university is doing these exams, and my job is to sit in front of the computer and monitor these like 100 students who are assigned to me. And that obviously the technology has, it produces a credibility score or something like that. So if you are actually looking here, there, then the AI in the system itself produces a score. So it will pop up an alert. Okay, it says red. An alert. The proctor is supposed to, issue the first warning. Hey, I think, and after the warnings, the exam closes. So it's actually proctoring. Okay, and this person is doing it, and it's a job. He gets paid for it. I was like quite surprised. So, actually, systems are available. It's, I think, how each institution would look at it and how the institution, the number of students and the cost and the mechanics, etc. But I think tools and technology is definitely already 3 steps ahead of what we are thinking. Actually.
Yes.
Right. No, I think like all of you put it, I think it's technology and features and
I'm not able
everything
to hear anything, Pawan.
We can hear you.
I'm not able to hear you.
You're live and we can hear you.
I'm not able to hear.
I can hear you, and
I just continue.
So now I think great insights from all of you, and I think before I wrap up the sessions, we have a lot of questions that are coming in. I definitely want all of you to take a minute and probably share a closing remark as a school leader, as an academician, as a teacher. If you can place yourself in the current situation, and doing a job of a teacher, I know is challenging, as a whole lot of opportunities in front of them. I just want you to give me a closing remark, and what is your perspective? What does it look like this year in the role of a teacher? Maybe we can start with Ms. Bhuneshwari, and then we'll go with each panelist for a closing remark.
Okay. I feel teachers, big salute to each and every one of you. Please don't worry, and you're very confident, and we are here to help you, handhold you. You're doing a fantastic job. And this crisis, when the entire nation was shut down, I think the teachers were the one people who was online immediately. And anytime, any day, Pawan, they are there to help the students. Their clock goes 24/7. Sometimes the call comes at 10 o'clock, and now, no, it being online, it is furthermore complex for them. It is for 1 hour class, trust me, they have to prepare for 3 hours for the senior secondary classes. And junior classes, they have to have a recorded. At least senior classes, they can record their class. Junior classes, they have to record their classes. So the teachers' working hours has been increasing, though they are at home. They have been working very, very hard. And as I saw some of the few ads, your future is very bright. Don't worry, you're going to be a rock star as always. Kudos to all the teaching community.
Very positive, very enriching. Thank you, Ms. Bhuneshwari. Ms. Menon, your closing remarks, please, before we take questions for all of you.
Like I started off with saying, I think this is a great opportunity for every teacher. They might not even realize the ability that they have, but I think this has really put it to test, because every one of them is doing wonderfully across schools. Amazingly, people have adapted to this whole requirement. They're doing a good job, and like Ms. Bhuneshwari said, I think huge. If a school is existing anywhere, it's because of those teachers, because they have maintained, sustained it to be there. Today, when it was in today's, the High Court has judged that fees has to be paid. So every little, development is a huge high. And who is enabling each of it? It's not to do with the principal or the school as a structure. It's to do with these people who make the school. And if it's not for them, there is no school. The children are, a floating population, but I do think a school is made by its faculty. And therefore, without them, there is no school. So a huge, shout out for every teacher across the country for the kind of work that they're doing. Like Ms. Bhuneshwari rightly said, number of working hours has increased hugely. But there they are in front of their camera every morning with that beaming smile and all of that energy that they always do display. Hats off to all of y'all, and great job done with by every teacher across every school
Yeah.
globally.
Right. Ms. Rajeshwari, we have you back. So, a closing remarks from you before we take the questions on the.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. There was some problem here, and I suddenly lost connectivity. So the thing is, as rightly mentioned by the other panelists, this has not been very easy for us. But definitely, this transition has been a very enriching learning experience for all of us. And, we are all stakeholders in moving towards the same goal. The goal is the same, whether it's the parents, the teachers, the students, all of us have certain goals to achieve, and we are all partners in this entire teaching learning process. Of course, yes, and teachers also need to be taken care of. And as Shanti ma'am rightly said, we are very happy with the High Court judgment now, which says that the fees can be collected by the schools. So that makes it very much easier for the schools, also the managements, which have all been very, very supportive to each one of us during these testing times, and they have gone the extra mile to ensure that teachers are also taken care of. Having said that, whatever it is, the teaching learning process also cannot stop today.
Right.
Children also have the right to learn, and we should not be depriving them of anything. Yes, teachers' workload has increased, the working hours have increased. We say work from home, but I'm not the one who is a champion of work from home. I prefer going to school and working, because I know at the end of the day, the rest of the evening is mine. But when we say work from home, whether it's 8, 9, 10, we are all with our laptops and in every corner of the house trying to find and figure out a way so that the work keeps moving. Right?
Right.
But anyways, as we have all found out that, we call COVID warriors. And I believe that people in the teaching fraternity are no short of being warriors themselves.
Right.
And a big salute to all of them who have risen up to these testing times.
Thank you. Mr. Murli, your closing remarks. What is your perspective?
See, what I feel is that, we regularly talk of being in the digital age, and the world is digital and stuff like that. Correct. I think one of the big shifts I think that has happened in the last 3 months is, while in the digital age the technology was there, the mechanisms were there, the tools were there. Okay, but one of the quick big shifts that's happened in the last 2-3 months is, I think the mindset of the consumer or the user has moved.
Yeah.
Okay, while all of us, as teachers, educators may want to use technology, but unless the user adapts to the new way, it's not going to happen. But I think either forcefully, whatever has happened, I think there's a massive movement online, right? Massive movement and adoption of the mindset of online. Once that mindset moves online, then I think as people, as students, as teachers, we are all innovative enough to find the solutions.
Yeah.
We are COVID edu warriors, so we can find the solution, and we'll find the method, we'll find the tricks, as Mrs. Merin said, right? So we can, but I think the mindset movement was maybe not enabling many people to go online. I think that is, I would see as the biggest takeaway of the last 2-3 months.
Right.
And that's massive. Actually, the impact of that will be huge for the country and for the education system.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. So I want to open up the panel for questions, and we do have a few questions that have come in. I also have 2 questions from our Facebook chat earlier this morning. So let me take the first question that has come, and this is from Sunil, who says, how do you maintain work-life balance during online learning? So it's an open question. Anybody in the panel volunteer to answer this? How, as a teacher, do you maintain work-life balance during online learning?
May I go?
Yeah, please.
So I think this is a very, very tough thing. All of us have been speaking about it. Teachers are working day and night. And this is, again, something I have constantly spoken to my team of faculty. Find a time to work. So school hours is for a certain number of hours. And if you can restrict your preparation to a certain number of hours, you have to consciously create that time. So I have personally been able to, uh, I work all kinds of hours. There is no time limit for the kind of work that in all of us are in that kind of position where our work is through the day. But when it came to online, it is very clear that we work only these many hours. And we have to resist the urge to go and check that message or check that mail kind of thing. I know children are, reaching out to you at all hours. We know that parents are writing out with SOS calls to you at all hours. But if you can just mindfully tell yourself that I will burn out if I do not start creating a routine for myself, because this is not going to be a matter of 2 months or 3 months. It may even prolong for many more months,
Many
and it
more
may
months.
become a way of life.
Right.
So to sustain this kind of way of life, you have to create it. You have to be very conscious about it. So if your work hours is going to start 7:30 in the morning and you have to close by 6 in the evening, which is itself a long haul,
Sure.
then you have to do it. Because unless you very consciously start cutting down your work hours, it is going to completely upset um, family life, your own physiological requirements, your mental state of mind, and all of that. So, like we tell children, make a timetable for your day. Every teacher, every educator should have a timetable for herself or himself. Because without this, stretching yourself for the so a teacher never resigns or never retires. You know that.
Yeah.
So you're a lifelong teacher. For you to sustain that till the kind of ripe age that where you can still give, you have to create a routine which sustains both mind and body and all of it. Right? So it has to be a very conscious decision. To Mr. Sunil, who asked this question, try making a timetable for yourself. I think that would be the best option for you.
Sure. Thank you. The next question comes from Karthik Krishnan, and he says this question is for Ms. Shanti Menon, Ms. Rajeshwari, and Ms. Bhuneshwari. Now, he says not enough sufficient information that children could be spreaders or super spreaders of the pandemic. How can we proceed on calibrating an early opening of schools? Again, an open question
Can I?
to all of you.
Okay.
Yes,
Can
please,
I?
ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pawan, I personally feel we should not open the school. There is no question of early opening at all. Though the government asked us to send the forms to the parent to take their feedback, and they says we need to start for the primary grade 1 to 4 on 1st of July, which is
Right.
not possible. As we CBSE, we have the parent school association. So we have a member of parents, and we had a meeting with them as well. So they are very, very clear, and we are also very clear that there is no chance for early reopening school at all.
Okay.
Yeah, may I
Sure.
just add something here?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Uh,
Yes.
See, we also had a similar kind of a meeting with a set of parents, and we had also sent out a Google form asking for the opinion of the parents with regard to
Correct.
the reopening. And we had almost 80% of the parents, I would say, who were not in favor of the schools reopening. But at the same time, they wanted this teaching learning process to continue. Right.
Okay.
Of course, I did read a very interesting article in one of the newspapers sometime back, where in the UK I saw that school has reopened for the smaller kids. Their
Yeah.
logic was, the older children, if you teach them something and if you give them instructions, they would follow whatever you say. It's the younger ones who need more support. And there
Right.
were some pictures, and in the newspapers it said they followed social distancing, and it was a success. But of course, keeping India's population in mind, I don't think we will be able to achieve that kind of a success which some parts of UK could do.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
very risky too. It's very
Right.
risky. I think we must,
Completely.
yes, we should not even think about
How
it
would
this
you
time.
stop? Yes. How would you
Yeah.
stop a little child from coming and hugging her teacher? Because that's
Exactly.
their
Absolutely.
first reaction when they see a teacher, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
it wouldn't be safe. And it's not that every teacher would be a carrier, every staff member, support staff would be carriers, but it is not safe. So an early opening, I think, is the last of. That's why we all are talking about
Yes,
online classes
Right.
being a long haul.
Right.
yes.
Right. Now, the other question that has come in is about having a framework around teacher assessment, and I know we did speak about this in the past, but the person is Ramesh, who's on Facebook, and he did ask me saying, is there a generic framework that a school administration would want to share, for teacher assessment? And again, it's an open question to the panel.
Is his requirement teacher assessment during this online process?
Yes, he's saying, is there a generic framework that schools will share for teacher assessment? Again, open question. Anybody would like to
Wouldn't it be better if Mr. Ramesh reached out to each of us personally, because then we could actually share with him what we are doing?
Okay, sure.
Because that's very critical. We spoke about teacher assessment a little earlier, and it's very critical for productivity to be improved and bettered.
Okay.
So it is a huge aspect of every school's running.
Okay.
So Mr. Ramesh would reach out to us, we could certainly help.
We can do that.
And Pawan, it varies from school setup. Every school they have their own framework, so we cannot have a common framework for the teachers' assessment.
Right.
Definitely, it will differ. So I think yes, it will differ.
Yeah.
So it is having a common framework. It will be very difficult for any school to adopt. But we can share our thing. You can individually approach us as we can definitely share. Yes.
Sure. Now, the other question that has also come up is, what are the 3 top skills that teachers would need to demonstrate in the coming few months, especially when it comes to digital teaching? This question is from Nitya on Facebook. What are the top 3 skills that teachers need to demonstrate in the next few months as a digital teacher? So, open question to the panel. Any of you, your perspectives, your thoughts?
Yeah,
may I take this?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Please go ahead, ma'am. Please go ahead.
No. Rajeshri, please go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think one of the key traits is going to be patience. The second thing is willingness to learn. And what I consider the most important is take criticism positively. If we have these 3 things in place, I think we can adapt and adjust to any situation. And I think this situation, this pandemic has exactly taught us this. We cannot be in a hurry. We cannot close the door to learning. And we cannot feel bad if somebody points out a finger and says, this is the area where you need to improve. So according to me, I think these are the 3 things that we need to have in us.
Sure.
I add upon creativity.
Absolutely, ma'am.
And innovative in teaching pedagogy and creativity, and try to include the Bloom's taxonomy. Keep it as a Bible and keep working on it. I think you will get all the answers. Communication, critical thinking, and the 21st learning century skills. You need to keep it intact. And I feel the creativity and innovative thinking definitely will help you to do much better.
Sure.
Yes, and you'll keep exploring it.
Okay.
I think, Pawan, what I would say.
Yeah, Mr. Murli, go ahead.
What I would say that, I think a lot of skills teachers have, right? So in the online world, I think online engagement would be one thing if they learn, because many of the other skills they would have as teachers, right? Those they're carrying from the physical world, but because online is the only dimension that is differing is that the mechanism of interaction has changed.
Right.
So in that new mechanism, if you learn how to engage and how to build that connect, so maybe that is a skill you can learn. Because the rest of the teaching skill, you know how to teach, and maybe
that's
right? Or you learn, because in different classes you would have the various methodologies you will learn that. Maybe how to engage would be the biggest thing, because even the students' behavior online would be different.
Sure.
Very true.
Right. I guess you can just put it down as adaptability.
Right.
A teacher's skill to adapt is a very critical requirement.
It's very critical thinking. Yes, it's difficult.
Sure. We have another question that's coming now. It says, kids are now a part of the VUCA world. There's likely to be a negative psychosocial effect on children Um, he's asking Mr. Murli, what are your thoughts on this?
Can you just repeat the question?
So
What the
he
first phrase?
says kids are a part of the VUCA world. There is likely to be a negative slash psychosocial effect on children, and obviously indirect effects. What are your thoughts around it?
So maybe I didn't get that first phrase. That's like a new age terminology. What is the VUCA?
VUCA world, volatile. So obviously what he's talking about is, given that this whole world is going to go through a lot of change, right? Obviously it's chaotic as well. What are some of the effects on children using technology, or what is the indirect effects of having online learning? Small kids going through.
Yeah, I think it's a very important question, and somehow maybe we missed covering that during this discussion, because see, spending time in front of a device a long time is taking away the other interaction for the child. So if digital online learning becomes the new normal, then how does a child interact with other people physically? And there are a lot of social and other skills you learn by observing, by using your other senses,
Correct.
hearing, observing, physically participating with people.
Correct.
Physically, it does not mean touching each other, but at least being in the same space.
Correct.
So some of those dimensions, if it's missed out, then that would be. Also, I think learning is a group process. I would believe that it's a group process. So you're in a classroom, you're learning individually, but you're still participating physically as a group. So as students, if they evolve to doing the same thing online, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or a researcher, but when I observe students in these classes, I find there is a gap. They would, for example, one of those online platforms where the 1,000 kids are there, plus kids come in. One of the behaviors I've noticed is they actually, middle of the class, they're chatting with each other. So there's a public chat allowed, and they're chatting with each other. So I think these children must be, spending a long time on the online platform. So they're using this class as a mechanism to interact and to make friends or whatever they're trying to do. This is a class, obviously. This class. So I think as we evolve this, I think educators need to think about what are the mechanisms to build in to cater to the other psychological needs of the child.
Yeah. No, I think it's important. Like you said, it's quite early, and at the same time, the way the technology is going to evolve, we're still not there. I think the session was great, very insightful, and I think teachers here have a lot of opportunities to learn. At the same time, I think technology is going to play a very important role. As well as school administrators will put a lot of thrust around making classrooms digitally friendly. I think teachers have a long way to go, and I think they're already in that process of learning and putting a lot of skills together. And I think, like a lot of you said, most of what happens in the classroom is also being moved into.
I think we'll just wait for Pawan to join us, because he's the host and the moderator, and we'll have to give him the last word.
Correct. This is the technology challenges.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, like, we have Ganesha for the other world, we need a Ganesha for online smooth functioning, right?
Yes. We need to always have the problem. It is not only for the remote places in the city. Like, it's not like US, you can sit in the lobby and you can work. We having a deficiency, definitely. And where the teachers needs to overcome that. That is more challenging. Every class is a challenge, sir. Every class is a challenge for them to have a backup plan immediately, and the school administrator to arrange the backup plan. That is a more challenging now, as we have rightly seen. It is just an hour, and this online classes goes every day, 4 hours at least. So just imagine the challenges what we take up, and every school.
You know what typically teachers are doing? They log in from 2 devices simultaneously.
Yes.
That's so ingenuous of them. So if one fails, they quickly switch over to their phone because they're using data.
Correct.
Wow.
So, so they're so quick at it. They don't find the kind of lag happening. It's happening regularly
I think
because everybody is using
so it
internet,
must be
so
little.
it's slow down.
Yes.
Right.
There you are.
So
On your back.
I'm so sorry. Small interruption. So like I said, I think a lot of insights today coming through from technology to digital skills that teachers are picking up. Again, thank you all for the time that you took, and also the patience that you had to answer questions, and also bring in your own insights about the schools that you as school leaders are running, and some of the things that you're putting in place as technology innovators. Thanks again to all of you, and I would love to keep this interaction going in the future as well. For all the teachers and school administrators, people who came into this channel, I hope you've had some really interesting takeaways. Thank you for joining us on this panel discussion. Have a great evening and have a great weekend. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoyed,
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Thank-
Pawan. Thank you, each and every one of you.
Thanks, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you all.